Hey guys, welcome back to Trekyards. It is disco time. Disco dancing. No, disco stew. Dun dun dun.
Coming
Hi,
to
I'm
you
Captain
with
Foley.
episode 7.
That's right. So yeah, I'm Captain Foley.
I'm Connor Cockins, and this one is called episode 7, Light and Shadows. Thoughts, Stuart?
Great episode. Absolutely loved it. Thought it was fantastic. The best episode of Discovery, I think, so far. Very fun, and I really enjoyed the ride.
That's great until you say favourite. I hadn't necessarily consider that as a favourite, but I'm thinking it through now in that context, and it doesn't have as many flaws as like episode 1 did, where, you know, certain things where it has some brilliant moments, but then it falls down a few areas. I think this one has a couple of falling down areas, but every episode does. They have them. But I think it's definitely a strong episode, and I think it's the shortest episode of the season by a mile, by like 15 minutes. It's an average episode of 40. So every single moment, for the most part, is a punchy moment. I think that really helps it be stand out, because they're not wasting time, they're not doing other stuff. It's very focused, and I think that is a big benefit to it.
I would totally agree with that. There are a few flaws, obviously, which we'll get into as we go along. A few things that bothered me a little bit, but overall, I really enjoyed this episode.
Yeah, me too. And one thing I thought you might, because every week we try and work out what the other person's going to think, and I've been wrong a few times. And I was assuming you might say, "Oh, it feels not as good because it's so not episodic. It's so like it's just the setup for the next week, and therefore you don't like it as much." So I'm glad you didn't think that. So good.
No, it was great.
So let's break it down then. I guess main plot thoughts.
I'm interested. I'm very interested that they're getting into the whole temporal thing and the time distortion, time travel, Red Angels aspect, because again, they have an open door now to fix things or make things better. Not that they're going to. The same thing could have been said about Enterprise, and that never kind of materialized. But I do love the time travel tropes, and I know a lot of people get sick of them. They use them as a crutch almost, but it really works, and it's kind of fun, and I really enjoy them. I always have. Any time travel, temporal episode, I really enjoy.
Well, it's some guy out of the bubble, you know, and even lets you do as like a bottle show even cleverer. You know, I was certain, although I'm surprised that season 2 is using time travel. You know, we assumed that was a possible, but from early on, but the fact they're going so hard on time travel, they need to have such a good payoff, and it needs to connect even further with this grander universe, because now time travel means that there's other layers to the canon which they've got to respect beyond just pre-TOS visual reboot. So now you've got everything else that could lead into really exciting things of, like you say, fixing and changing and modifying and bring us back on course, or doing whatever the hell they want and showing us alternate features which are like, wow, this now they've ruined the 27th century and the 25th century. It's like, so it's a real open door. So what do you think of Spock then? The official introduction to a sort of Spock.
Didn't really get too much of a Spock vibe off of him, unfortunately. I did like the whole story with Amanda trying to shelter him and protect him, even from Sarek, who was trying to locate him. But where she had put him with the Katras and stuff, kind of blocked that. So that was really cool. The love of a mother, and the way that Amanda really shone in this episode for me. The way she stood up to Sarek, and it was a fantastic character building moment for her. So yeah, seeing Spock was great. Hopefully we'll start to get answers now, and looking forward to a lot more. Just he wasn't quite Spock yet in this one, so it's hard to say much about his character right now.
Well, he's mid mental break, so he's not going to be Spock. So yes, he was certainly too emotional. I've never had a problem with him having a beard, and the fact that we're seeing him at this point means that he's been, several weeks, months into this journey of possibly madness. So he's not going to shave if he's mad. So there's double explanation for him to be unkempt. I've never had a problem with that. I think they need to have the payoff of him shaving by the end of the season to see like what a fresh uniform Spock looks like. They need to have that as a reveal.
Thought the same thing. Like the last episode, he's going to step onto the bridge of the Enterprise. With the proper bull haircut.
I
100% guaranteed that's going to happen. Well, I hope anyway. I shouldn't say that.
The contrast of one allows for the strength of the other, and it would also be a nice moment with the end of season 1. For Spock, I liked it. I mean, it's very much actually a balanced half and half, which they've never done as far as I can remember fully. Like, they're both the A story. One's just the episodic A story, and one's the season A story, but they were super balanced. There was no other... Like, there was a mini C story with Tyler Vock and Pike, but that was in the A story, so it was...
Yeah.
Although I realised that we really have just abandoned Klingons, and...
Which is fine with me. I have not enjoyed the Klingon episodes. The Klingon episode from this season was my least favourite one.
And it's weird, because I went back and I rewatched the red carpet event, where before the season starts, and we're assuming it'll be like season 1, where they have both storylines at the same time, and you'll have this big development, and we're 7 in, which is half now. There's been 1 episode of Klingons, that was a half episode as well, no other follow-up. Now, while that leads into a strong payoff at the end with the D7 and blah, 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 watching now the interview with Laurel, Mary Schieffer, it's like, she has so little to talk about. You're not brought in for much, because, you know what I mean? But it's interesting how they've really just focused the season, focused the stories, and it's certainly to the show's benefit.
Because the show is about discovery, after all.
Yeah.
I gotta say, getting back to formula with, a great establishing opening shot of the ship, a beautiful shot, and, it's personal log, not a captain's log over it, which kind of, to me, feels a little bit like Burnham's private journal or diary. It doesn't... Well, we got to get some official captain's logs. Would be nice. But anyway, that establishing shot was really
it's main
good.
Character log. It's main character log.
And that helped a lot, instead of last time on Discovery, where we went through like a whole bunch of clips from other shows to start it off. This was really well done, talking about the Red Angel and how Saru saw it as a log. I thought that was a fantastic way to go about it, because I get kind of annoyed with the whole last time on Discovery, and for the first minute and a half, it's just clip, 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 clip. Oh, just remember all this stuff happened. Sorry. Anyway, I appreciated that, to be honest. That was a small little thing, but it really made a big punch at the beginning. So.
And unlike, I've never had a problem last time on, because I just skip them. I don't even, you know what I mean? They're not for me, so I don't care. The difference of having a last time on versus a captain's log is that captain's log or commander's log, whatever, you add the personal character context. You readdress and reaffirm what they think happened last time. She says it's a thing from the future, really advanced technology, rather than just showing us and saying, hey, look, it's allowing us to know, this is where they are as characters. So it actually benefits in context. And yeah, great opening. Although again, Shuttle Bay's open, it's odd as always.
I noticed that too, and I thought you'd say something.
I think at this point they've just forgotten to swap the models. They just keep throwing in the base model. One person CGI team just didn't have the door closed, and they were like, they just keep reloading it from a set scene file and never go back and say, shouldn't the door be closed?
Well, this is the Discovery model with the shorter nacelles. Because I swear to God, patterns? They look a lot shorter. They're doing really good angles of the ship.
It's because I saw a shot later on, but it's just the lens. Because I've done lots of VFX with it as well, and you just bring the right lens right in, because they know it's not a good looking ship, and they can only do certain angles, and they're doing now similar angles, which is what you do like with TNG. But they're clearly doing tricks to mitigate it, and it's working. That's what a good team does. They find the best in a less good thing. Some other standouts for me, though, was seeing the Vulcan cityscape. Flyby, gorgeous. Well done, them. The time stuff was fun. The probe thing was interesting, with lots of potentials. Darn that we saw the big chasm. We should just have heard the fan feedback and pull that clip out of the episode, but oh well.
Oh, the turbolift shaft?
Yeah,
Oh, that was atrociously bad.
Just ripped that out based on fan feedback. And I've got a couple of big questions based on this episode, really that have no repercussions, but they could and should, and it's a classic Discovery trope. But do you have any other specific thoughts on bits and bobs?
One thing that really annoyed me was the launch of this probe. He tells Saru to load up the shuttle with the probe, and then when they launch the probe, you see it come out from the bottom of the shuttle and then launch, and then the shuttle continues to fly by the camera. You see the airlock. You know how big it is inside. In relation to that airlock, because you see the airlock from inside, there's absolutely nowhere where that probe could have been stored underneath that shuttle. unless, like I said, it's like a replicator and it creates it as it comes out. That really annoyed me very much, actually. That was one thing that I, as a tech guy, it doesn't make any sense at all.
Well, that's what all Trek does, unless it's designed from the ground up. I mean, you remember the shot in Enterprise when they suddenly said to Johnny, "Oh, there's a shuttle bay in the Bird of Prey now," and it's like, "What?" It's like, "Yeah, put a shuttle bay there."
Yeah.
It's like, okay. No I mean, okay. Yeah. So yes, but like we said, old Trek did bad things too. It doesn't excuse that. It's not that because old Trek did it, therefore Discovery can do it. It's they shouldn't have done it either. Discovery definitely shouldn't do it. Like, all they had to do was have just a probe attached to the bottom as like a flatter attached between the pylon, between the nacelles, and then just detracted and like didn't need to come from a pod. It was loaded specially. Just have it attached, like have it almost like a roll bar attachment attached to the top and make it like a unique sensor variant. I mean, there's smarter ways of doing it.
Another thing that really irritated me about the shuttle was when Squiddy from the Matrix was attacking it. Yes, Future Squid, yes. Was attacking it, and it punched right through the roof with the tentacle, and the cavern did not depressurize. There was no force field that went, which it should have been. It should have been like sparking as the thing was moving around because it sealed it. That irritated me quite a bit as well. A lot of people didn't notice that at first. But
what's funny is that later in the sequence, the shields are still on, so it's still shield impacting while it's also punctured the shields.
Yes, I noticed that as well. So there were a few technical things that really annoyed me at this one, but overall, I really enjoyed the ride. So I can overlook those. You know, it's like other Trek.
Yeah, it's just classic Discovery tropes of visual over making sense. And then this episode, I think, does well in its fast pace and its cohesive story that you don't dwell on a lot of those things, but they are still there. You just don't have the time to dwell, but I think it does it more streamliney. Like, for example, the blades, the armor coming down, which is like, wow, Nick from Voyager at Endgame, and yet light still comes through, and so they're that poorly done that they don't present armor enough that light can still pass through. I was like, that's a really crap armor. If there's holes in it. That being said,
this thing was attached to it, so maybe they didn't close all the way, or they got jittered or stuck kind of as they went down.
Yeah, but it would have been smarter. I know the lighting trick was specific, but just don't do that. It doesn't really make a lot of sense.
Another thing I really liked about this episode was the amount of screen time everybody got. All the characters got orders, they got lines. It was great. Tilly was fantastic in this episode, and she looked fantastic as well.
Yeah, she was the strong secondary that she should be. Comic relief, bit of tech knowledge, supporting other characters. Boom. She's not a strong lead. She's a strong secondary.
And kind of a jab at the fans with the whole, it's freaking awesome. You told me not to swear on the bridge. You know, it was. I laughed so hard at that point. Yep. She does it twice, and it's just like, oh yeah, that's my Tilly.
It's a swearing retcon. They had the holograms. They had lots of retcons. One more. Yeah, I noticed that because that's appropriate. It's like invent a new word. Then you can swear as much as you want, but it makes more contextual sense in the universe to do that rather than F-bomb all over the place. Yeah, no, it was just an interesting episode. This is an episode that has a payoff. Will have a payoff. I don't quite buy that Stamets can beam into a time rift.
That bugged me a little bit too, yeah.
Very easily. Because it's not just that even if he could see, because he said there's a time distortion, but he just sees it as a distortion. Okay, fine. But he has to program limited non-advanced sensors and beaming to reintegrate matter in through a time rift, which I don't think this ship is capable of doing, let alone him be able to program it in less than 30 seconds onto a thing which they said was 10 minutes ago, but in real time, like, suspension disbelief.
10 minutes from now, he says. I'm here 10 minutes from now.
Yeah, so you also travel it, but that doesn't matter, it's in a time rift. A little bit of suspension disbelief, like it's a time thing, but they're a little bit fast and loose with it, like a little bit.
A little bit, but are you happy they used transporter instead of him jumping into the spore chamber again and using the spore chamber to somehow get there? That would have made more sense in this case.
I would have preferred spore chamber, honestly.
Would you? Yeah, I kind of would too, because I wouldn't want to be beaming through a temporal Yeah.
It just seems so unsafe. And they've been back out again with it in close proximity. So yeah, I think Spore, like, because if you just we've seen Burnham see all these places in a semi-Spore jump thing. I'm sure you can quickly reprogram for like a, I can buy that. So that was a little bit whatever. And I also thought it was funny, a little bit unbelievable that Burnham at the end walks out of the bridge of this ship, has a massive hand-to-hand fight, which is quite loud. No one hears for a good long time, and it's like, why did you say notes the bridge? Like, just have a walk out of a different room rather than the bridge, all these people. And I thought it was a little bit odd. I know doors are meant to be airtight, I guess, but it just felt contextually like a bit weird. It's like, it's the bridge right there. Pick a better place to have a fight. I don't know.
Yeah, but the relationship with Pike and Tyler, how that starts out, was fantastic. Well done. And then by the way, with the way it ended, with them having saved each other's lives, and it was really cool seeing Pike look back and see him shoot Tyler. I was like, damn, that's going to be interesting. And then it turns out to kind of be a bait and switch. It's like, oh, he's saving him. That was kind of very well done. So I really enjoyed that.
I think everything was great until the end. It felt a little bit too wrapped up in a bow, like, oh, because it's one thing, we love each other now. All what, it was a little bit too clean. But the journey was great. The destination was a little bit too easy. But I think we had to get there because next episode is going to be important, sort of thing, for me. I love the bait and switch. That was great, like you say. And I think that is going to be hopefully important, that when this sort of time travel is in play, context is going to be important, that you can misunderstand a time-based something in the future because you're seeing it from your own perspective, whereas actually, you're interpreting it, So I think that'll possibly come into play later, and then something will go wrong because it's from their context rather than, other thing. So that's something I saw, because it was a nice little, like, it was such a small payoff if it didn't mean anything greater,
Yeah. One of the things I noticed is, like, I hate to say this, but the fact that Burnham's not on the ship makes the interactions on the ship better. At least I find it felt a lot more Star Trek without her there all the time. Her own story was fine. It was well done. But, she wasn't stepping on everybody's feet. She wasn't the one beaming in because she didn't want Stamets to go because for some reason she invented the temporal transporter or something, or test piloted it, Or I could see if she was on board that it would have been her operating the transporter instead of Tilly. It's just like, no, I'm glad she's kind of gone for now, doing her own thing. So,
no, I agree. The whole ship felt like a cohesive unit with everyone doing their jobs, as opposed to Burnham walking in, doing everyone's jobs, and then walking out. So yeah, I agree. I think the balance there it just felt a much more balanced episode.
Yeah,
with throwaway setup shots that are what Trek has. Establishing shot of Vulcan. That's a really expensive shot. You didn't need it, but you did need it.
They wasted. I think they spent a lot of their budget on this episode. There was some fantastic visuals, some great CGI. It was an overload of really cool stuff. So,
although they're very short, they were all very, very short sequences, but there was lots of them. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
What did you think of the the probe being sent and then coming back 500 years of internal time, and then later on it's scanning this database and then infects the android robot lady
Arium?
Yeah, what about that whole plot point thing?
That was very interesting. Like I said, it looked like the Squiddies from the Matrix, so it's a weird visual for me.
It was a bit on the nose of art design.
Yeah, it also had like a very squid-like appearance, that probe, so it looked like something from like Voyage Under the Sea attacking the Nautilus. So but the data dump of information, like with extracting the memory core and stuff, is kind of a typical thing in Star Trek. Happens quite often. But the Arium thing I didn't expect. She was going to shut it down, and she got infected. So that is, in my mind, saying that either Arium is going to become the Red Angel, because she's already part mechanized, even though I looked it up last night, and there's different... She's an alien that's been augmented. She's a human that's been augmented. Memory Alpha doesn't know what's going on with her character, essentially. So she could become the Red Angel. That'd be kind of neat if she got infected with this thing. Or she becomes the intelligent AI of the Discovery that we see in Calypso, because she's got this download and she's got the personality, so it could be transferred. Anyway, I think there's a lot of potential with that storyline, but I'm not sure exactly where they're going with it, so it'll be interesting to see.
It's great because that's not at all what I took from it, which is great. I took that she's the harbinger of their doom and will cause all their deaths, is the intention. The probe is there to attack them. The probe. Well, I took it as timey-wimey. Probe being sent back by whoever's the baddie of the season. The probe then, is trying to detect, but it's got this Trojan horse as well. Ariam does her thing, gets infected. She's a robot. She's susceptible. Now she is the 2750s. She's their Trojan horse, but she's their plant now. So it's somehow amazingly lucky for them. They've now got an agent in our time that they didn't intend to get, and now they'll have this, and that's really like, ooh. And we know the next episode has some pretty serious future consequences, and so yeah, she's their spy, and that'll be huge. So I don't think there's anything. It's all negative stuff as far as I could see. Obviously, the red being another indication, although Red Angel, the context, but I definitely got the sense that some, the villains, which said Red Angels are trying to help them stop, is still part of their story. The Red Angels are part of the good story.
That's an interesting thought, her being like an inside guy kind of thing for the future people. I really like that. But no, I see it more tying in with either the Red Angel, the mechanized Red Angel that we see, or the Discovery's AI. I think that might be where they're headed with that. So
cool, good. They have different ways it could go. I like it. Well, I did think it was a little bit strange that they say that, and this is sort of my last point really, I think, is that the Red Angel left residual emissions, although we see a red blip go into this forming time thing, which is the first time red blip stayed there. But red blip is actually a creature, but we know the creature already left. Okay, not sure why.
But
and then
time.
Yeah. Although, there you go. And also, I just like, and this is I think my last point before we do other videos, my biggest side problem, which is I only saw in the second go through, is that they are still above Saru's homeworld, where an EMP just happened to either temporarily or fully disable the technology, and then they're staying. I like the fact they were staying, because I thought Pike was my big complaint from last episode. They need to stay there and mediate, because holy shit, they've just destroyed this entire eco-structure of civilization and massive repercussions. And just like Pavo is so important. And then Pavo, we don't care the next episode. They completely ignore Pavo and all the repercussions. They also ignore they're above this planet. And, time waves. What damage has time waves above this planet done to the planet? And where the hell are the Ba'u, whatever they're called? Where are their ships? Why are they never? Why Ba'u that managed to get the tech back up from the EMP? Why are they not hailing? Why do they never mention, sir, the wave is hitting the Ba'u superstructure, or sir, there's 8 Ba'u ships floating in space that they don't give a shit where they are, what they are. They've completely forgotten that there's massively important warp capable species. Like there's ships in orbit that aren't going to have been damaged by this EMP. So where the hell are the Bow and spaceships in this scene? Why are they never mentioned? Why doesn't the episode care? That's my big problem with this episode, really, is that they don't care about the last episode.
It didn't bother me so much. What bothered me was at the end, and this kind of concerned me, where there's going to have this time tsunami. The Discovery warps out, this thing happens, and the planet's right there.
And so
is the planet going to get hit with all these time waves and kill all the Kelpians and the Ba'u?
Do something.
It needs to be addressed in a line of dialogue in the next one, even though it won't be. The next one's going to be very Talos-oriented.
Because we know that the Red Angels are doing good stuff, but this wasn't created by them. This was a combination of After Effect with Discovery action with Alien 2750's reaction. So this is not like a predicted, hopeful, good thing. So yeah, I would assume it would severely damage the planet. And they didn't even mention, oh no, the wave's going towards, they just didn't care. And this isn't Random Planet, this is the Kelpians' homeworld with a warp-capable civilization that has abilities of their own. And yes, if they've all been EMP'd and all disabled, then the whole argument last week about their technology will keep them from being okay against the Saru's people becomes mute. So again, they forgot They don't care. Classic Pavo again. Sad we got 2 of those in a row, because it's just one line. You know, you had 15 minutes to spare. Throw a scene at the start of, like, a shuttle coming back up from the planet saying, we've now successfully done diplomatic relations with the two, you know, start us with something follow on.
That's kind of a Trek trope, though. TOS, TNG, Deep Space Nine, they all kind of do the same thing about planets. It's like, hey, the planet's really important in this episode, and then also it's never mentioned again, or it's...
But never with, like, the Trill homeworld, or the Vulcan homeworld, or a major character's home planet.
This isn't a major character. Well, it's not.
It is. It's Kelpian. It is.
Cares?
It's absolutely Saru's homeworld with the race. He didn't even... It was just very strange. If you watch them back to back, I think you'd have a massive culture shock of, like, oh, we're just going to... Okay. Just a bit weird.
Yeah, I agree. But anyway, guys, I think that's it for this quick review. We're going to have a full-fledged episode breakdown live later tonight. Now, are we doing 4 or 5? What time are we doing?
I'd rather do 5.
5. All right, so we're starting at 5 Eastern Standard Time tonight.
10 p.m. GMT.
Yes, and join us for that, because it'll be a great scene-by-scene breakdown and review and discussion with you guys. It's all fantastic, so look forward to seeing you there.
Although you have missed out, Stuart, what is your final review thoughts and a number out of 10 for this?
This is going to get, from me, this is going to get a 9 out of 10. Great character development, great story, fast-paced, not too long, not too drawn out. They got to the point. Everybody got something to do, something to say, and it felt like Star Trek. It felt like an ensemble piece with an interesting story, and I'm really looking forward to, as I say all the time, I'm really looking forward to seeing where this goes from here, because it left us on a cliffhanger, and I'm excited.
This, I think, is the equivalent of a good Voyager episode. You know, in the bar. Like, it wasn't as good as a TNG, where the characters are really, like, really vivid and fleshed out, and there's less big plot holes, but it's like a good Voyager episode, like good sci-fi, decent enough characters, but not like the best thing ever. But this is much more story focused. I would say it's 8.5 for me, I think. And I will say, right until the end, I was like, it's missing something. And then the Arium thing happened. I'm like, ooh, they've brought us that. That's the hook I needed. And the Talos thing was like that's the hook I needed. Yes, that was the payoff that you needed. And so it didn't. It was really like a 7.5, good but not amazing. But that final, it got me at the end. So 8.5, pretty damn good. One of the best, most balanced episode by far. With a couple of little problems.
But you're forgetting something, Samuel.
Yes, Patreon, support us monthly, because we need your help to keep doing this every month. And with all the new shows, come on, there's so much new Star Trek coming out, or will be, in 2019. And my goodness, 2020 could be just the most ridiculously good year for Trek. So Patreon's way of helping us do this stuff for you. And the tens of thousands of people that watch us, if the hundreds of you help us make it, then you're helping them as well. Or one-time donation at trekyards.com, or go to the link down below. You can use our Trekyards link for Eaglemoss and buy ships with a discount, which helps you. Teespring store, you can buy cool merchandise, a lot of cool merchandise, and other cool things down below. Just all good stuff, helps this channel. Or a one-time donation at trekyards.com, click that donate button, and there you go. On to the next adventure.
Perfect. And on that note, guys, hope you enjoyed this review. Check out our live one later. Yes. Even if you can't catch it live, check it out after the fact, because we do break it down scene by scene and go with our notes. Detailed. So it's really fun. And anyway, until next time, I'm Captain Foley.
I'm Connor Coons.
Bye, guys.